Yes, that's correct. They're following up a meeting they had in the Russian Far East last September. It was pretty opaque. Kim Jong-un had visited a space center, and there was talk about cooperation, but now they've signed an agreement. We're waiting for the text to come out, but they both said they're deepening that cooperation in economics, military affairs, politics, culture, and so forth.
Yeah. One of the things that has come out at this point is that this new partnership includes a vow of mutual assistance if either is attacked. What do we read into that and how significant is it?
Well, we have to see the exact text, but according to their statements, it mirrors the old Soviet treaty that they signed back in 1961, a mutual defense agreement where they will come to the aid if the other is attacked. So it's going back to that old agreement. Um, and of course, they're already providing support to Russia in terms of cheap weapons, conventional arms. And Russia is probably providing certain types of military technology. There are a lot of areas they could cooperate as far as training, data, technology, across multi-domain warfare, cyber, electronic warfare, and so forth. So a lot of areas that they have mutual interest to cooperate.
Yeah. Daniel, how tempted will Putin be to provide what North Korea wants, particularly in relation to its nuclear ambitions, in exchange for the much-needed munitions that it needs in its war in Ukraine?
Well, as far as the details, I can only speculate about that. But I think both of these leaders are aggrieved and they have grievances against the world. They're kind of at war at the liberal Western world order. So, in terms of the peaceful settlement of disputes, which is one principle of the post World War II order, they would like that removed and not have that constraint. For these guys, the use of force or war is a legitimate instrument of statecraft. Protection of human rights, they don't care about that. So terrorizing their own people, using non-judicial punishment, torture, even executing their political enemies to stay in power, that's completely legitimate. And as far as open economies, a third pillar of the world order, liberal world order, they don't care about that. They look at it as rent-seeking opportunities to run their own corrupt economic fiefdoms. And they would like all of those constraints removed. So I think that's moving towards a much more dangerous world. And this is the kind of world they would like to see undermine the West, undermine these constraints, and then they can behave accordingly.
Yeah. I mean, we know that Putin is seeking allies on the global stage as more and more retreat from Russia. But does this give Kim Jong-un some form of legitimacy, a visit like this?
Well, certainly domestically and in terms of economic assistance, political assistance, Russia is very important because it's a permanent member of the UN Security Council. So the UN Security Council resolutions, the economic sanctions against North Korea are basically dead. In fact, Putin said, it just came across the wires about 30 minutes ago or so, said that the UN Security Council sanctions against North Korea have to be reformed or lifted. So that takes off the pressure against North Korea. Russia can provide food assistance, fuel, and so forth. And Kim can feel much more comfortable in pushing his agenda, which could include military force in the future. So it could become much more dangerous.
Yeah. You're in Seoul, of course, and would have witnessed this sort of testy relationship sort of unraveling a little bit on the border between South and North Korea. How concerning do you think it is, and what is fueling it?
Well, I think historically speaking, it's pretty calm. If you look back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there have been tensions. But in the Kim Jong-un era, since the end of 2011, they've been pretty well behaved. I mean, back in the 60s or 70s, guys were getting shot up on the DMZ every day, aircraft being shot down and so forth. But because of the capabilities North Korea has now, nuclear weapons and other precision guided missiles and so forth, it's much more dangerous because of the lethality. But the good news is I think North Korea can be deterred. I don't think they've decided to use force or to go to war. But if the geopolitical conditions are ripe, if the liberal world order collapses, the alliance systems collapse, and the like-minded liberal democracies kind of fall apart, and there's an opening, guys like Putin or Kim will use force, like we see Putin in Ukraine.
I'm interested in what your assessment of Kim Jong-un's sister is. She seems to have a hand in policy. Does she have an influence on him?
I think so. I mean, authoritarian systems, a dictator, there's a lack of trust. No one can trust anyone. You can't make credible commitments. So you will see in dictatorships, usually the close blood ties, the family members are whom they entrust with, the secret police, the security forces, the finances, and so forth. North Korea is a very patriarchal society. So I'm doubtful as far as her being a successor and so forth. Kim Jong-un is bolstering the position of his daughter, so maybe there could be a woman leader. Maybe his sister could take over if Kim was no longer able to lead. I suspect, it's only speculation, but she probably has some secrets, access to the financial information, the bank accounts, the PIN numbers, those types of things, know where some the secrets are for the regime or to maintain the regime. So certainly she's influential because as a close family member, he can trust her.
Yeah. Daniel, always appreciate your insights. Thank you so much.
Great to be here.